advisor to Tony Blair and is part of the People's Vote campaign, joins us now. I mean, do you accept the momentum seems to be with the deal rather than the idea of a People's Vote?
Well, it depends who you're talking about. I think the public momentum is very much in the opposite direction. I think that was evidenced by the massive turnout on Saturday for the People's Vote March. And I think it's shown in the fact that in every single opinion poll now for the last 2 years, it's about the MPs, I agree.
There doesn't seem to be a majority for it.
I think if you were to have the vote right now on the deal, I agree with your previous speaker. I suspect that he's going to get his second reading, because I think that even people who will maybe want to then amend and add to the thing as it goes through the process and maybe vote against the third reading, I think he may get that. But I think in that process, then these amendments go down. So whether it's customs union, second referendum, the other ideas that may come forward, we're definitely still in the game. And if you think about it, in the end, it is about the argument. It's about whether it should. And I think as long as we keep making that argument, we can win it.
But if you haven't won that argument with the MPs who, are all over the place on this, if you haven't won that argument for a People's Vote yet, you're not going to win it, are you? And Boris, you've got, and the Prime Minister is not going to grant you a second referendum.
But look at where we were. Track back to the start of the campaign. The very start of the People's Vote campaign, you could get the MPs who would openly back it in the back of a black cab. Now, you've got the Labour front bench backing it, the Lib Dems in the SNP have been there for a long while. You've got some Tories who are saying, as a last resort, if it's the only way to resolve this, they would back it. So, look, you're absolutely right.
There are more people backing a deal as well. I mean, you've got some of the rebel Tories, you say. And,
yes,
they will back the deal. He could well get the deal through by Thursday. Do you accept that?
No, I don't accept that, because I think it then has to go through all the common stages.
Well, I mean, he could get the, get it through the Commons.
He could get a vote for the deal. I accept that. But then...
You don't think you'll get the legislation?
I don't know. But as you said, the MPs are all over the place. And I think that, look, in the next few days, these arguments have got to be had. And the worst possible argument, when I hear some of the Labour MPs saying, we've just got to get it done, which is kind of echoing this Tory propaganda, just get it done. It's not going to be done by this deal. It doesn't resolve the issue the Northern Ireland issue is a real issue that has to be properly debated. It doesn't resolve what sort of economic partnership we have in the future. It does keep going the division between those on the Tory side who want more to be closer to the European alignment and those who want to go more with a deregulated American-style economy. Those debates are not going to be resolved. And if this deal does go through, Brexit is not done. It's with us for the next decade.
But you made the point earlier about the 750,000 million or so people voting, marching at the weekend. You ignored quite happily millions of people voting in protest against the Iraq war. Why would you change your mind and accept what 1 million people are saying this time?
Well, I think marches do have a role, and protests. No big campaign has ever been won in my view without sort of protest on the streets. The point about the Iraq war, just to remind you, it had parliamentary support, and it was a big decision. And I think a decision like that, people understand that cabinets and prime ministers take them, they get them through Parliament. The point here, Parliament has not been able to resolve this. 3.5 years, Parliament has not resolved it. That's why it should go back to the people. Johnson's deal or Remain.
What about you can't even decide among yourselves, it seems, at the People's Vote, if there are reports at the weekend or anything to go by, whether you're for Remain or just for a vote so that you can break the Brexit impasse. Which is it? And is there some sort of coup going on?
No, honestly, Mark, don't read the Mail on Sunday, and certainly don't get too excited about it. Look, there's this has been one of the best and most successful campaigns I've ever been involved with.
As you say in an email, it should happen fast and be brutal.
What was it?
Well,
that's
what I want to know. What is it?
Look, in any campaign, you might get the occasional difference of opinion. This campaign is absolutely focused on trying to get a People's Vote, and I'm absolutely clear what I want. I wanted it the whole way through, with the option of Remain, and then we go and fight for that to win.
But if you say you do get a referendum, you might have three things. You might have Remain, you might have the deal that's there. You might have no deal. How does that ever get sorted out?
How does it get sorted out? This isn't sorting it out. And also the point about Julian Assange's mate is about the point about no deal. If people really want to argue for that, let them argue for it. But my point is that in the end, MPs, if they accept Boris Johnson now seems to accept there should be some sort of democratic check on this. He wants it to be an election because then he only needs 35%, not 50%.
How do you get? Look, the most likely thing is an election rather than a people's vote.
Well, it might be.
And then your problem is your Labour leader in the polls. I say you kicked out the party.
I accept that's an issue.
So that's a problem there.
That's why Boris Johnson is desperate for an election, not a referendum.
So how do you get to it?
How you get to it is you keep fighting for it, you keep arguing with the MPs, trying to persuade them to back it. And your point about breaking the impasse, it is possibly the only way to break the impasse. You actually say, right, OK, we now have a new Prime Minister.
But it doesn't, does it? It doesn't, because the country is split
I don't
pretty
know
much
about
50-50. The one thing it doesn't do is break the impasse.
I think it could. And I think an election almost certainly won't. What happens if we end up with another hung parliament? Surely at that point they're going to say, look, OK, let's call this off. We've got to go back to the people. What happens
at least it'll be MPs who believe in one thing or the other.
That's true. But also, let's just imagine, this point, people are not to this point. OK, the economic debate goes on, and we have to know before that election where the Tory party and where the Labour Party stand on.
All right, Alastair Campbell, thanks very much.